Good morning, good morning, good morning. Welcome to another edition of the Brothers of Legacy. I'm your host, Andy Walker, the pusher, the grower, the motivator. Thank you for being in. Oh, 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 oh. So let's take this off. Let's see. Change that up a little bit. Does that sound different? Maybe. All right, let's go. Blessings. Good morning, Mama Corey. Great morning to you. Lisa in the building. Great morning to you. It's another day. Happy Tuesday. Happy Tuesday. I appreciate you guys for being a big part of all that we do every single morning at 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. So today we're going to talk about a very, very special topic. Not really special. Let's talk about where are you spending your time? Where are you spending your time? Time is very important. It's one of those things that you cannot get back regardless of what you do. All right, so we're gonna dig into that as well as other topics like we always do. But I appreciate you guys for being here, being a part of all that we do. Again, welcome to the Brothers of Legacy. If it's your first time here and you're in the replay space, make sure you put your name up, where you from, name and where you from. So if you've been sitting in the background forever, this is your time to come up to the front of the room and tell the class who you are. So I appreciate you guys for being here again. Make sure you share. If you have a goal, we have some goals. Help us get there. YouTube space. Yes, YouTube in particularly. So if you're over in Facebook land, be sure to check us out on YouTube. Subscribe. I might just start doing shows exclusively over in YouTube to kind of pull you guys over to this space. Again, thank you guys for being here. You could be anywhere, but you're rocking with the Brothers of Legacy. We come on every single morning. Okay, maybe not every single morning. Monday through Friday at 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. So put your face in the place. Make sure you share. If you're on the Facebook space, make sure you share. If you're on the YouTube space, take that button. Hit that share button. Hit copy, right? Just go hit copy. Take that copy. Put it in a text community. Put it in your group texts that get on your nerves all night. The group me texts that go all night. Say, listen, while you guys are doing nothing, come check these brothers out. Get some education in the space. All right, so make sure you do that as well. Again, I appreciate you guys for hanging with us every single morning. Like, again, we're talking about where are you spending your time? If you're going to spend your time anywhere, this is where you want to be. All right, let's get it. What up, Keita? Good morning. Because we waste a lot of time, guys. We waste a lot of time. I think about being younger, man. How much I could have accomplished if I just was more focused on what I was doing with my time. Educating myself, learning certain things. Speeding up the learning process. There's so much. Woo! Hey, sweetie bop. Good morning. Sam in the building. All right. So we're gonna go ahead and get ready to get started. Let's see. What am I looking for? There we go. All right. So we'll see how this morning goes. Maybe just me this morning. My brother Kaneem is recovering. And now he's back on his grind. He got to make up for what he missed last week. So prayerfully, we might have him in this week. Tomorrow is Wednesday. My man Matt Genius should be coming through. And that's it. All right. So maybe just me. So let's talk about time. Are we spending our time wisely? And yeah, I might surprise you with some stuff. All right. Let's go. Let's get into it. Again, you know what to do. Share. Sharing is caring. All right. Let's go.
You're watching the Brothers of Legacy. We don't stand out. We stand up.
Yeah. All right. Some people may wonder, why do I do that? One, so you know who we are and what we stand for. Two, it's my separation with my podcast, because I do extra chatter that I try to keep my podcast people engaged because they don't want to hear a bunch of fluff, too much stuff going on. You might turn. I don't know. My question. So let me ask this question. If you listen to a podcast, if you're out there, I see several people watching right now. If you listen to podcasts, right, what is an acceptable length for the podcast, or what's the length of time that you listen to your podcast? Now, I've listened to podcasts that are from 10 minutes as long as 1 hour, and it's kept me engaged. I don't know if I could do 2 and 3 hour podcasts. That might be a lot because for the most part, I listen to podcasts on the go. Like I'm never stationary. You're watching TV or something, kind of sit down. Ooh, I got to listen to this podcast. Nah, most of the podcasts I'm listening to on the go. Most things I'm doing, it's on the go. Yeah, and an hour is probably about as long as I can usually do a podcast, unless it's very interesting or intricate. This criminal investigative podcast, we've gone an hour, it's a story, so it kind of keeps you engaged. And this one, I think I listened to several episodes, so I probably did a good 2 hours, back to back to back. If you put it all together, about 2 hours, but it kept me engaged, kind of like binge listening. And for you, so podcast, and this honestly goes into spending your time, right? Because it's funny that you say spending like it's cash, but it truly is spending. Where are you giving your attention to, is a matter of your time. Where are you placing honestly, one of the most valuable assets? Where are you placing it? Good morning, Danny. What's up, my brother? Thank you for coming through. So yeah, that's my question. Like when it comes to podcast, what is your listening time? If you listen to podcasts, say I listen to podcasts. If you don't, say I don't. Let's say I don't. Okay, there we go. Michael says I don't. Oh, what's up, Mr. Gibson? Good morning. I don't listen to podcasts normally. I'm listening to teaching. For me, 30 minutes to an hour, typically, right, while I'm driving. So I like longer podcasts. Right. I think that's a big thing. Like for the most part, for me especially, he said 10 minutes. Oh, is Jeff in the building? Let's give a quick happy birthday to my brother, like no other, Mr. Jeff Carlin in the building. Happy birthday. Michael says 10 minutes too short. Gotcha. I listened to this thing. It's called The Indicator from NPR. And they take like stuff that's happening in the world and they talk about its financial impact. I mean, everything. They talk about the war in Ukraine, and it's kind of just short because they give you snippets of it. He says, "Happy birthday, Jeff." So yeah, we talk about. So like 10 minutes is short, but you can get a bite size. You can get a good, quick. Was an inspirational kind of podcast that would be like 10 minutes. He give you a quick hot 10, because sometimes some people are great in short increments. Some people are great in shorter increments. They don't need too long. He said, Mama Corey says 1 hour is enough unless it's really juicy. Right. It really keeps you engaged, Like I was listening to it was like a Dateline podcast, and they kind of, they know how to write stories, so they take you through the steps of what happened, this evidence, and coming up next, you're like, oh, what did they uncover? Let's see. Mike says, I don't like anything that I have to keep switching from, so I can pay attention. Right. But I think a lot of times with Apple, sometimes. I think if you subscribe, if you listen to the newest or like the oldest, it'll go in increments. But I hear you on that. Like I like when I'm driving, you're right. I don't want to fiddle with it. I like, to get all my information in one. Samantha says, I'm with him after about 10 to 15 megs. I'm good. All right. So when it comes to podcasts and video podcasts, so let me ask this as well. So if you've not answered, let me know about your podcast length, hour, 2 hours. Listen, there was one in in a couple of podcast groups. There's one that's literally 7 hours. I think it was 7 hours. 7 hours. I scrolled through it a little bit, just hitting points, and homeboy was just still talking. What up, Richard? Good morning. Still talking. So Michael says, I like Undisputed with Shannon Sharp and Skip Bayless. Yeah. We'll keep scrolling. Right. Some people they have that engaging conversation that kind of, I can go one after the other. So yeah, I'm with you on that. Richard in the building. So yeah, let me know your length of podcast as well as, okay, so let's switch over, right? We're talking about where are you spending your time, right? So for the most part, consensus is, for my brothers, they're driving, listening to, they listen while they drive. So it's like, I'm focused, but I'm doing something while, getting some information, entertainment, edutainment. I like to call it, but an hour max. And like you said, Michael said, long as I have to switch, if it's an hour and they're keeping me engaged and keeping you awake, saying interesting things. What about YouTubes, right? Because I was talking to my brothers on the accountability call. If you're not part of the accountability call, you need to get a part of that. Make sure you do so. Connect with us. LWN to 84576. I'm going to send that out every Monday. Yes, every 2 weeks. So the next one will be not next week, but the week after. So if you want to be part of our accountability call, so we get real, raw, and help us become better men. It's kind of like a staple in the Brothers of Legacy movement. So be a part of that. Anyway, we was discussing, like, I was bringing up YouTubes, like what's your length of time on a YouTube? What's your focus time on that? Is it more educational and instructional? Like for me, like I have two folds. Well, probably several. So I'm looking for something specific to learn or educate myself on. Like, I do a lot of stuff with Adobe products, like, After Effects and Adobe Premiere, to help create stuff. And sometimes I was like, okay, how do I do this one thing? Like, I know kind of how to do it, but I need the quick version of boom, boom, boom. And for those videos, for the most part, I look for the shortest video possible. The shortest video possible. Like, how in the video, how do you remove the green screen behind a video? Like, got the video, how do you replace the green screen with something? So all I need is, okay, hey guys, this is how we do it. Boom, boom, boom. I don't want a long message. Hey guys, welcome to my channel. Today, this is the things I do. And you see the videos like 10 to 15 minutes long. You're like, all right, when are we going to get to? Because you start moving and moving, take too long. So let's see. Michael says, pretty much I only list the stuff on YouTube. I have an entire teaching lineup depending my mood. Yeah, right. You got the inspirational stuff, and then you got the educational stuff. I hear you on that. Let me let's get Pastor to the stage. Uno momento, por favor. All right, let's go. Good morning, Pastor.
Good morning.
Yes, indeed. So,
spending my time working.
Right. There you go. Let's making it happen.
Good morning, BOL family.
Yes, indeed. Richard says, I hate it when mobile signal drops out and drops in. Just stay constant. And internet too, when National Grid or BT Open Reach do work on local exchange boxes and the ARWA. All right, that's kind of foreign language to us over here. I just complain about AT&T. Like it's just AT&T. I complain about them all the time. I got you though.
Oh, is that BT, British Telecom?
That's probably British Telecom. Open Reach. All right. It said, okay, so then I have an entire social culture, type stuff, right? Like culture, like I listen to like Kevin Hart sometimes. I listen to this other podcast called The Pivot, and they got some.
You listen to The Pivot?
I do.
So you are a sports fan?
No, stop it. Nope. If you listen to The Pivot digs deeper. They talk about great at sports. What happened in your social life? Oh, what happened here? You know, they get deep into the people. So
yeah,
that's why I listen.
But it's a bunch of
it is
athletes talking to
right.
Okay, all right.
Because can I keep it real? Can I have a transparent moment? Whenever now, especially like whenever I see a bunch of guys on a podcast or a video podcast, they got huge subscribers, you know, a lot of watchers, you know. I'm like, all right, so who are these Negroes? Are they people? Were they people before they started? Were they well known? And so I found out right from The Pivot, these were athletes. They were known. They had fans. They got people, so starting up, they probably started at least 10,000 subscribers. Just once, hey, fan base, we're starting a podcast. Oh, that's. So I always do that. I'm just keeping it real. Can I be honest? People that come out of nowhere, like if they had the same kind of platform, like where these folks come from? Who are they? Like, how did they do it?
Followers.
Right. Unless they doing sensational stuff, they doing kind of the same stuff we doing. Like I got to get under where they at. But for the most part, like once I found out, I was like, oh, they former athletes. Makes sense. But it's a good show though. Real talk. It's really because they get deep. They had Kevin Hart on there, and he talked about a lot of stuff. And he had his Kevin Hart moments, and it's really good. Shaq was on there. Yeah, it's really good.
Yeah, it's powerful.
Yeah, it's good. I can't front. The best YouTube videos have the time markers right that allow you to skip through. Those are much appreciated. Yes, like what you're looking for. Yes, E. Good morning. Richard said, I want to be interviewed by Kevin Hart. Oh, the ice bath challenge. He said I would beat him. I don't know. He's been doing it quite a bit. he might have grown some resistance. I don't even know. Does he still do that? Let's see. Michael says Kevin Hart, top billing, aka Bill Bellamy, All the Smoke, Breakfast Club, Knuckleheads. I just balanced them out the link. Right. I can't get too deep in my spirit sometimes. I feel you. Yeah, definitely gotta balance that out. I've never heard Bill Bellamy, but he tells some great stories. I never saw
Bill
All
Bellamy
the Smoke.
is
That's
a great
something.
Storyteller.
Yes, he is. Whenever he's telling stories from the 90s or even 2000s, and it's just, man, it's like he's at story time. Like, oh yeah, I'm all in.
him and Jamie Foxx, I think, are
right.
Top storytellers.
Right. Yeah, right. They really bring you in.
Did that really happen?
Right.
Like that?
Like that? Right. Right. Because, it's so funny because they've always, at least Bill Bellamy's always been like a supporting cast in a lot of stuff. So, he's like.
In the 90s, Bill Bellamy was the man.
He was. But I'm saying he's compared to but he's been in some top tier stuff. Like he wasn't like way in the back. So he was like right up front. Like it was like star, and then him. So whenever he tells I was right there. I got the sweat on me when this thing went down. You talked about the fight with Jamie Foxx and LL. Yeah, he was right there. Let's see. Michael says, I love the conversation.
Yeah.
He said what?
The football movie. That's what you're talking about.
Yeah. Any Given Sunday. Yep.
Any Given Sunday. Yeah.
Any Given Sunday. He said, I love the conversation, but sometimes the adult language too much. Yeah, and you know what's so funny? It bothers me a little, but sometimes I want to listen to it with my kids in the car, but I can't. Like, oh, here we go. Like, because people say foul, Phil, foreign. Like, oh man. Like, can we just have a clean show? That's why Brothers of Legacy is here. We give you the jokes, keeping it clean. I do 20-minute ice showers, ice cold showers. That's an interesting thing. Just a quick note. Who does ice cold showers? Because I heard people do that like in the morning to wake themselves up, and I think it's supposed to
That
get
is
you
not
going.
something I spend my time doing.
Do you spend your time taking ice cold showers? Does it help? Consistently, not like I've been hot and I need to cool off. Like hard, fast, quickly. I'm talking about consistently. Every morning or every other morning. Do you do that? Just a question out there.
That's called the swimming pool.
Right. Jump in the pool. Right. Bill has a story about Jamie Foxx and LL getting fired. Yeah, off the chain. Yes. I remember when Jamie Foxx told the story. Listen, his version was hilarious too. I mean, he told pretty much the same story. That he he took some L's. Let's see, Seahawks out. There we go. Just got to throw it in there, right, Richard? Just got to throw it in there about the Super Bowl. Because it's been a minute. But yeah, so where are you spending your time? So we talk about YouTube. We talk about podcasts and things do you listen to podcasts, Pastor? Like the just audio?
No.
Not at all. Not at all.
Listen, I don't have the time.
Right. Okay.
Okay. I'm always on something else. It's not that I wouldn't if someone sent me something and said, "Hey, you need
Right.
to listen to this."
Right. You would check it
You
out.
have sent me things. Dr.
Yeah.
Rollins has sent me things. My wife has sent me things, and I always listen to it. But I don't go looking for podcasts.
Okay.
I don't have a podcast app.
Okay. Right. Okay.
Whenever I listen to something, I have to download the app to listen to it.
I got you. I think and what's so funny, because the main thing about podcasts, and all of us kind of are talking about it because we listen to it while we're moving or traveling in the car, and like, because you're so stationary. I don't know too many people that just get a podcast and just kind of chill and listen to it. Like, unless it's like informative or something special, like if Martin Luther King was alive and it was Martin Luther King, Barack Obama having a conversation, like, oh, I gotta put some attention on this conversation. Like, how's this gonna go down? Or Malcolm X and Martin Luther King, like, oh, who found this? You put a lot of attention and sit down and listen. Like, I gotta hear what they got to say. But yeah,
for me, that's opening a book. That's
right.
My
Right.
podcast time is my reading time.
Right.
And when I'm in the vehicle, I have three. I either have, on Sirius XM, Kirk Franklin Radio, a news channel, or a sports channel, ESPN
Gotcha.
Radio, ESPN2, Mad Dog Radio,
Right.
Fox,
Right.
NFL on Fox, something like that. NBA.
So you're more
radio.
like sports, like
it's
passive
gonna be
listening
that,
in
yeah.
sports. You're passive in
Unless my wife is
sports.
talking.
Right. I got you.
Because I'm quiet in the car. I mean,
Right. Thinking. You're kind of like, yeah, I get like that. Especially long rides. I can get like
Yeah.
that. Just get into a zone and start thinking about, how can I reconstruct this whole space right here? Like, just start. I wonder if I changed the loop. And, like, you ever had odd thoughts? Like, I wonder if I just, in the corner of the room, what if you painted? Like, just weird thoughts. Like, I wonder. Yeah, I get it. So your passive is kind of sports, just kind of catch snippets and things like that, and then something, they talk like, hey, happened in Dallas, you kind of like give a little more attention to it, but for the most part, it's kind of passive listening. Okay, that's interesting. So how many guys? So when you guys are driving, and to everybody else, other than I think Michael mentioned podcasts, do you guys listen to podcasts while you're driving, or just music? Like, I do a little music. Music more or less hypes me up, and then I go into the podcast. Like, I get a little hyped up for whatever I'm listening to. Like, yeah, either heard the song before, or like for me, new music somebody sends, or I was scrolling like Instagram, and I'm like, oh, that song sounds cool. Who did that? And I look it up, boom, 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 and I find it, and I listen to it a couple times till I'm tired of it, till I move on. But yeah, podcasts I kind of look for every once in a while. I kind of type certain keywords in to try to see what else is out there, and I do it also for same space, so to see if other men are doing the same thing, because I'm like, oh, they doing the same. Like I found one podcast, they were kind of doing what we're doing, and Michael, to your point, the language is just rough though. I was like, oh, oh, I wouldn't mind like being on there or having them on here, but I'm like, man, and I know some people can censor, but they just like, I don't know, like how they go about certain things. So I listen to I try to find similar podcasts just to kind of see what's out there, see who's doing what, see who's into what, see what topics.
So tell me this, about. when you, because it's a pretty broad question this morning.
Right. Where are you spending your time?
Where are you spending your time doing?
Yes.
As it relates to what? I mean, because are you talking about, 24 hours a day? How do we break that down?
So the way I'm breaking it down, where you're spending your time is just where are you investing the time that you have? And I use the word spending like money, right? Only thing, the difference between time and money is, money you can kind of save and just sit. Time, you're spending it somewhere. Every minute that clocks, you're spending it doing something. Even when you feel like you're doing nothing, you're doing something, and your time is being spent. Or I don't want to really say wasting, because I don't like necessarily wasting your time. Because even someone say, "Oh my gosh, you watch Netflix all day?" That was my downtime. I had to decompress. Like I'm stressed. Like I rather me here than doing something else that's unhealthy. Like. For me, this was great, So for me, like, even what's considered my downtime, I try to spend that with like my wife, with the kids. So I'm kind of like my seeding time with the children and good times and things of that nature. When I'm driving, I do podcasts. Like I said, I listen to music sometimes just kind of hype myself up to get my mind in the ride mode. Because, when you're like trying to hit that sweet spot where you just focus on the road, and you're just kind of thinking about stuff. That's kind of like where I try to trigger my mind to get to, like.
But I think, but you spend a lot of time in the car, like that's working.
Yeah.
So that makes sense to me. When I first moved to Georgia from Northern California, I remember the commutes in Northern California. Right. You didn't have to go far, but it always took you an extended amount of time, simply because of traffic delays. That's California. And I don't care whether you're in Southern California or Northern California, you're going to deal with traffic. It's just not as, but it's predictable.
Okay.
So it makes sense to put, a book on audio.
Right.
And have that in the car with you when it's going to be 2 hours before you get to where you're going. And it's not like you're driving, you're actually sitting in traffic. Right. Things like the sunshine creates a delay in traffic. Yeah. They call it sunshine delay, right? Or windshield delay, something like that. Yeah, when the sun is shining on the windshield,
right?
If you're driving into the sun,
it's hard to see.
It's hard to see, so it slows traffic down.
Wow.
Yeah, and I'm gonna get some sunglasses.
Right. Right.
But my point is that it takes a long time to drive a certain, a short distance. And then I moved to Georgia, and I was warned about traffic before coming to Georgia.
Right.
You think traffic is bad in San Francisco? At least when it's bad. It's going to take you 2 hours if you leave at 5 o'clock. You know that.
Okay.
But if you leave at 3 o'clock, you'll get there in 15 minutes. They said, and I knew people who had lived in Atlanta before, and they said, in Georgia,
you never know.
It's horrible.
Never know.
Yeah, like I've driven in Korea, I've driven in Hawaii. There's two highways in Hawaii, H1 and H2, and it's a circle. You either you're going at some point you're going to be driving east, at some point you're going to be driving west, at some point you're going to be driving north, at some point you're going to be driving south, because it's a circle, it's an island.
Wow. Okay. Oh, okay. I got what you're saying. Okay.
Yeah, you think about it. And so, but traffic would be horrible, but it was always predictable.
Right.
You come to Georgia, and Saturday afternoon at 1:37, you want to go downtown and there's a traffic jam
Yes.
and there's no
Yes.
game.
Right. Right. What's going on?
Yeah.
What's
I mean, like,
happening?
what do you like? Like you go out for dinner.
Right.
You know, I live on the south end of town. You go out for
Right.
dinner on the north end of town, and you know it's late. It's 10:30 at night, and you're trying to come home, and I'm in a traffic jam, trying to get home from taking my wife out to dinner.
Yeah.
Are you kidding me? Like I don't get home till midnight.
Right.
What?
Yes.
Because of traffic? Not because I
Yeah.
stayed out late trying to.
Yeah. Right. Right. Right.
It's
Right.
traffic.
Right.
And I'm like, where are you people going? And they're
Right.
looking at my car like, where are you people going? You know, it's crazy. So
Right.
now moments like that, you spend your time, and like my wife and I, we have deep conversations.
Yeah. Right.
But my point is in the mornings, like when I got to Georgia, I was commuting for the first several years that I was here before I started working from home.
Right.
And I'm talking about coming from anybody familiar with Metro Atlanta, if you're coming from the southeastern end of 285 and trying to drive northwest
Right.
or
Right.
even northeast for that matter to the top
Right.
of the 285, it's a nightmare.
Right.
And it's always a nightmare. There's
Right.
always construction. There's somebody's working on something. I'm like, you guys, I think they create reasons to work on the streets.
Right. Right. Yes.
So you have to
Yeah.
find things to do with your time.
Yes.
And so that's when you put the audio in and all this stuff.
Right.
And I started listening to regular radio, and
Yeah.
it was amazing how much I knew about people, and I had never met them.
Wow.
Just listening to the morning talk shows and stuff. So that I spent my time doing that.
Right. Right.
At home,
Yeah.
you spend your time when you have children on your children.
Right.
When you have ministry, studying,
Yeah.
writing.
Yeah.
You know, you have pets. It's all of that.
All of that. Right. Right. Right.
So I guess I'm trying to figure out, like, if you're launching a business, how are you spending your time? If you're
Right.
you know, if you're going to school, how are you spending your time?
Yeah. And the whole the key is like, you know.
Hey, Philip.
Hey, what's up, Philip? Good. The key is, you know, what is the life that you're trying to build?
Yeah.
And how are you investing your time? You know, because it's kind of like I make it broad because I just want to know, like, how are you spending the valuable time that you can't get back? You know, and I started off saying, you know, I thought about being younger and man, things I should have been doing. I could have, in a month, I could have knocked out certain, you know, like I could went from here to here, you know, because I had time. I had, you know, and it's funny, like you talk to your kids like, man, do you realize you can literally learn how to speak Spanish in a month if you just spent all of your time doing it. You know, like it's just understanding the value of time, you know, because like the older you get, you realize how valuable it is, especially, you know, you experience loss. You're just like, yo, time is, you know, tomorrow's never promised. And that's the word. Tomorrow's never promised. And we don't, you know, you fixate on today and how to maximize the time. You know, it's like your relationships, your learning, and your impact. You know, how are you spending your time? How are you spending
I
valuable
think,
time?
I think, you know, for like 20 years, I spent so much time trying to force information in my brain, biblical information,
Right.
technical information to do my job, you know, all
Right.
that stuff. You know, there's so much information that I've had to process over the last probably
Right.
34 years. It's just insane, right?
Right.
Like, I don't know how a brain can hold that much information and you not be, you know, a scientist or the president.
Right.
Like, it's
Hey,
useless. Well, not useless.
not
It's
useless. No.
I
Yeah,
used to call
definitely.
it useless trivia, right?
Right.
'Cause I always had an answer.
Right.
Why talk so much? And it takes me forever to say anything because I'm filled with madness. But the thing is, like, I learned something, you know, when my son, going through the experience with my son, you know, I have one son and 4 daughters. And my son had physical challenges.
Right.
And so a lot of my time, I didn't realize how much of my time was dedicated. You know, like I had redesigned my entire life to revolve around his needs, but I still had time for my other children.
Right.
I still had time for my wife,
Right.
but I had to be there if he had to use the bathroom. I had to be that close
Right.
every day. outside the hours, like even with having nurses and all of that, there was so much time consumed with making sure he had what he needed, you
Right.
know. And when he passed, you know, I mean, even before he passed, I would wonder, like, man, what is this going to look like if he's not here? All of these moments that I have dedicated to him, you know, because literally there was like 18 years where, you know, he needed everything, you know.
Right.
And so when he passed, I'll never forget, I had to go to the funeral home, my initial visit with the funeral home for the consultation.
Right.
And I was getting ready to leave the house, and I stopped in my tracks, and I walked to his room as if I was getting ready to tell him that I'm leaving and I'll be back. You know, mommy's upstairs, your sisters, if you need something, call. Like, because that was my routine. If I was leaving the house, I had to let him know how long I was going to be gone, exactly when I was going to be back, and what to do while I was gone if anything happened.
Right.
So I walked to his door, assuming I had to tell him that, and he wasn't there.
Wow.
And I had realized at that moment, I was leaving the house, and I got in my car and I started driving. And for the first time in like 18 years, I didn't have to concern myself with how long I was going to be gone,
Right.
with what that time was going to be. Right.
Right.
And so I started realizing I had all these moments
Right.
that were going to be available, that were dedicated to him. And I was like losing it, because I'm like, what are you going to do with all these moments, all that time? Right.
Right.
And he passed away in 2020, and I haven't slowed down. As a matter of fact, I think I'm more tired now, you know, because of all the things that it's so amazing how quickly you can feel the time slide in.
Right.
Right. Like how was I able to do all the things that I did?
Right. Still, it's amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, what are you doing with that time?
Right. Right.
Where has that time gone? What has been applied to that time? You know, and it's amazing because you realize you can spend valuable time doing a whole lot of things, and I don't care how many. I think the problem with me explaining it is because it's difficult unless you've had to have that kind of commitment.
Right.
Right.
Yeah. Definitely.
Because even talking about it now, I'm thinking to myself, like even today, this morning, I would have interacted with him. I would have had at least 45 minutes with him this morning, off and on.
Wow.
And it's 9:41.
Right. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Because there'll be moments
at least
45
minutes.
You look at your phone. You're like, I'll be right back.
Yeah. You've experienced it with me.
Yeah. Yeah. Definitely.
Yeah. So it's amazing, man. It's amazing what you do with your time.
Yeah. And I just kind of like a basis, because I kind of want to dig into that a little bit, just about, you know, where are you spending your time? What do you consider most valuable? Are you making the most of your moments? I don't know, like in my household, just trying to, and I think about that, like I spend more time, like if I'm by myself, I'm trying to learn something, you know, like I have the video stuff. I was studying, like not even try, but I listen to the word in the morning, get some nuggets out of that, you know, and taking the kids to school. I try to have conversation, you know, like let's dig into what's going on in your life, just to kind of, because I realized, and I've watched it with my sisters, you know, my sister-in-laws, you know, I've been in their lives since they were like young. It's not. He said, no way, not spending this time this morning. You know what? In their lives, and I've watched them like shift and grow, and become, you know, adults. So it's like having a conversation, so I can see when their mind changes, or, you know, trying to question things in nature. There you go. I said I spend time on BOL at 9 a.m. when I have the time. Right. Appreciate you, football coach. Indeed.
That's a sacrifice.
Indeed.
You're a football coach and you can be on here at 9 a.m. Yeah, you've had to give up something.
Right. We appreciate. Listen, and I don't take it for granted. I appreciate you guys spending your time here. Listen to us, and prayerfully, we're giving you something just to kind of chew on throughout the day. And just a quick reset, you are watching the Brothers of Legacy. We're on here Monday through Friday at 9 a.m. And we are always discussing things that are affecting our lives. You know, it's not always the same community stuff, but this, even spending your time it's community. It's like, what are you doing with your time? How are you investing your time? Are you investing into your future, or are you investing into your right now with your
Yeah.
time?
How are you wasting your time?
Right. How are you wasting
What
your
should
time?
you be doing?
Right. Exactly. Right. Yeah. We're gonna be talking about procrastination coming up, but we're talking about spending right now. We're gonna talk about the spending. But yeah, definitely. How are you spending your time? Are you making the most of every moment? Sleep is definitely necessary. The hustle mentality of not getting enough sleep. Because for me, I'm no good if I don't get enough sleep. So I've had to, I can't do the grinding, get an hour, get back on the grind. Yeah, no, that's not me. That's not, maybe like 10, 20 years ago, maybe I used to. But now, no, I need enough. I need at least 5 hours. But yeah, so we talked about podcasts, we talked about YouTube, we talk about, social media. Well, we haven't really talked about social media as much. The scrolling time for me kind of it just jumps out. And what I mean by that, it's never planned. It's like in between. Like you ever listen, and don't act like I'm the only one, but you ever like get on your phone for a specific reason, and even if it's to just go to Facebook to get so you can message somebody, but you find yourself stuck scrolling. Like, wait a minute, I got on here to message such and such, and then I got to go back to whatever else I was doing. And you start scrolling like, oh, that's dumb. Oh, that's funny. Like, let me send that to pastor. Oh yeah, that's what I'm supposed to be messaging. Like,
But it's funny. My social media time has decreased
okay,
at a great measure
Wow.
over the last probably 6 months, I would say.
okay,
Yeah. Only because there's been other areas of focus.
right,
We just took our daughters back to their apartments last night, and we actually one of my daughters, Brienne, who's at Kennesaw, wanted Cooper. She wanted the dog to come with her.
right,
We were
right,
just waiting, and she's like, "Well, okay, in September, Cooper's coming
okay,
with me." So
Yeah.
we packed up. We moved Cooper out yesterday. That
now your house is really empty.
So we come home last night,
Right,
and we don't have to take Cooper out
right,
to use the bathroom. We don't have to put him down for the night.
right.
He's not barking at 6:30 this morning saying, "I have to use the bathroom.
Wow,
Come get me,"
wow.
because that's what he said. Come get me. Ooh, ooh, ooh. Ooh, ooh, ooh. That's what he, come get me.
The dog speaks.
Yeah. And I was, it's funny. We were talking about that this morning. Didn't have to take Cooper out, and I teased my wife. I went back to the movie Friday.
Wow.
I said, "We're gonna get high today. We ain't got no dog. We ain't got nothing to do." We were rolling because it's such a like right now.
Yeah.
He would be right here at my feet,
Right. Mm-hmm.
right, and he's
Yep.
gone. So my daughter sent us pictures. So like there are gaps that have
Yeah.
to be filled.
Right.
The morning walk, the
Right.
noon walk, the
Right.
4 o'clock poop,
Right.
the
Right.
8:30, 9 o'clock poop,
Right.
all of that is and the food, the feeding, the brushing, all of that stuff.
Right. He says. Someone says you still hear him even though he's not
Oh
there.
yeah, listen. When I woke up this morning,
Yeah.
that is so amazing that you say that, man, because I'm telling you, with everything that I love, when I rolled over out of bed and I was taking my pillows off, like we were getting ready to make the bed, I could hear him barking.
Wow.
I can't believe you said that. I mean, I seriously, I was getting ready to say something, and I didn't say anything to my wife. I'm like, "Did you hear that?" But I'm like, "Nah." So I left it alone.
Wow.
I kept it internal, and Sean just put me on blast.
Good job, John.
I did. Man.
Good
I'm
job.
telling you, I heard that dog barking this morning. I heard that.
Wow.
Yep.
That's awesome. Richard, we'll hold your question to the end, sir. We'll hold that question to the end. But you did say, you did say, Sam Brian, had it with my dad for 10 years, mom and home 4 hours a day. 6 days a week until she passed on, right? I think you get into a routine of someone being there or around, and you have a routine of how you deal with them, and then they're gone. Like even with us, kind of shifted a little bit, but like having the kids home during school, like having them with the laptops here, I got, you adjust to it, but then it was like weird. They weren't here anymore. Like we've been literally together for the last 2 years with hardly any breaks, like just, and they are kids, like people, where's your children? Yes, they are children, but it just was weird because, with school, unless you're homeschooling, you're used to, they're going at least away for a couple of hours and then coming back home. But it was just constant, like the days of like, hey, we out of school. Like that don't mean anything to me because you're still here. like you're not going anywhere. You're just not getting up early, So it's weird now that, we've shifted. They're going back into the building and things of that nature. So it's adjusting to that. So it is weird, like when your time is spent doing something consistently over a long period of time. At least if it's 6 months, you start adjusting to it. At least 6 months. I think about when the pandemic hit, and when churches closed. When everyone like was in I had to shut down. I know people open up early. They're probably like after 2 months, like we going back in the building. So I know it had to been weird for those that worked in ministry from the pastor on down. Where Sunday was like, especially like the bigger churches, the ones that were really consumed, where church started at 6:30. We had the 6:30 roll call, and they had 3 and 4 services. We got out 7 p.m. It was just like nothing. Like it had to be like, we got the whole Sunday. We off, and it had to been weird for those months, just being out. And now it's like, what do we do with our time? How do we be productive? But then it's like, but think about it, Pastor. It had to been like, what do we do that's temporary so we don't get so used to or committed into a space
what we
where
did
we can shift back?
Is it was still Sunday service, but it was
Right.
like, you like for our church, we were pre-recorded.
Right.
Actually, no, we actually did it because
We started going live.
There
Yeah.
was also the times we did it live.
Yes.
I would sit at my desk and I'd preach live.
Yes.
But my family, we would make it breakfast,
Right.
right? Breakfast in church.
Right.
That's what,
Okay.
so my family would be gathered around the television. We would have gotten up and cooked like breakfast, like potatoes and eggs and grits and
Right.
meat, a couple of different types of meat and
Right.
biscuits and the
Right.
whole thing.
Right.
And we put the service on the big screen,
Nice.
and everyone would sit around in the den and
Right.
watch the service and eat.
Right.
If I was live, I'd eat after I preached.
Right.
If it was
Right.
a recording, I was in the kitchen working. And it'd be a family event,
Right.
and that would last the same duration of time as if we were in church.
In the building. Nice. Nice.
So we had a real fellowship, and that's
Right.
what we were doing.
Nice. Nice.
So I felt like that was quality time.
Right. Right. 100%.
Yeah.
100%. That's good. That's good. I think and then I guess the the struggle of the transition is like, well, got to get dressed. Got to go out the house now. Like, no more big breakfast. 'Cause-
Life is back.
right. Oh, no more big breakfast. Like, I was loving the breakfast.
Yeah.
Why don't we take the breakfast to church? Right? Have a big breakfast, So, like, so that time, and we talk about spending your time, and we talk about during that time, right? Were you right? Right, there you go. Sam said the getting dressed again was the hard part, right? Like, get the suit out.
I'm still struggling with it.
So it's spending your time. Were you spending your time waiting for COVID to go away, or were you spending your time pivoting and how could I gain on this opportunity? Like, what opportunities are out there that I can, capitalize on? And that's a mindset. You know, you lose your job. You know, do I spend my time just looking for another job? Do I spend my time seeing what else I can build or create? You know, what can I get into? Some of the things I know everyone talks junk about while they're working. Man, if I wasn't working here, if I had time, I would be. Because everybody does it. Don't act like you don't. Everybody's sitting at their desk, you know, ringing somebody up, chopping stuff up in the deli. Like, if I had time, man, what I be like, what I be doing? You know, are you really invested in the change that you want to see? Ain't got to call it said the suit that didn't fit, right? Yes, the struggle, right? It said the work with maximized COVID in a lot of ways, made connections and built the whole community. Indeed.
Yes, you did.
Indeed. We did.
Absolutely.
We did good. We did good on that. I mean, it
Yeah.
was rough in the beginning, you know, like trying to get our house in order for the COVID. Like, okay, let's change the schedule up a little bit, you know, a little bumping heads, but we made it through. Paddling a fanny down the Amazon. Okay, Rich, you got to explain that one. Was that
Got to work that one out.
right? Paddling a fanny on Amazon. Okay. Oh.
Yeah, see, it wasn't a big shift for me because
Okay.
I've been working from home for like 12 years, 11 years.
Right. So for you,
So
it's just
being home from COVID is like,
right.
what are you guys doing here?
Right. Right. You used to like hardly anybody be in the house. Like, I'm going to do my thing. This is what I do every day. Where I'm at every day. It's what we do. He said it was rough.
But the thing, I think it's a fabulous question, man.
Yeah.
I really do, because in this day and age, you know, it's funny. The Bible talks about a time for this. The Bible talks about seasons in the book of Ecclesiastes.
Right.
You know,
Right.
And there's
Right.
a time for everything. Everything has its
Right.
proper time and place.
Yes.
You know,
Yes.
what messes us up is when we negatively impact our time.
Right.
When we're mismanaging our time, you know, or even pouring your time. I said mismanagement is still the same as pouring your time into fruitless productivity, right? Where there's nothing to gain.
Nothing.
Now, it's great to have a good time,
Right.
and having a good time, having fun is productivity and it's gain because it helps you, you know.
Right.
But I think that when you pour your time into fruitless gains, you end up regretting it. You end up with an animosity
Wow. Oof. Right.
towards or directed towards whoever you were with.
I wasted all this time.
Yeah. I mean, one of the greatest lessons in the world is I don't have the time to give my time
Right.
to someone else who does not understand the value of time.
Yeah.
So I'll say
that's
that to you.
good.
You don't have time
Right.
to give your time
Right.
to someone else who
Right.
does not understand the value of time.
Right.
How much time have you lost
Right.
fruitlessly giving your time to someone who does not respect or understand the value of time?
Right.
I wasted 3 years of my life.
Right.
Right?
Right.
So it's a great question. Where are
Yeah.
you spending your time? What are you spending your time on?
on,
How
right.
are you spending your time? Who are you spending your time on?
I'm with, right.
You know,
That's good. Even opportunities or businesses or partnerships, and like are you getting something out of this? Is it fruitless? is it gaining? Because things take time to build, things take time to create. Are we spending it in the right places?
I'm so glad I took the extra 5 minutes to have that conversation, because that 5 minutes changed my life. I'm so glad I took the time to study.
Right.
Without that, I would not. I'm so glad I stopped to pray. I'm so glad, there's so many ways to look at this.
Right.
With a joyful
100%.
spirit.
100%.
But while you're getting excited about the productivity, the positive things that you contributed, make sure we examine the areas where we might be wasting a little bit.
Yeah,
Because
definitely.
it's the small foxes, I said, that spoil the vine. God said,
Oh, okay. So Richard said meant a canoe down Amazon. He said I predictive text. He said I hate predictive text. Don't you? Yeah, sometimes, especially when you're speaking and you're trying to get Siri to say what you. No, Siri, I didn't. I didn't say that. I just said, don't send that. Don't send that. He said right, Anthony. He didn't like all of us being. Yeah, you're messing up my morning meetings, my staff meetings.
Yeah.
It's always something to tend to. There's something going on. Like I don't deal with stuff right now. It's here. That's me and you. Like so. Understand, Brian and Corey. Sometimes time to me. Sometimes staying still. Sometimes time goes fast. Yeah, too fast. Indeed. Time goes really fast.
Oh yeah.
Especially either you're being productive or you got to get something done by a certain time. Looking like an hour passed already. Like what are we doing? Like dang. Speaking of which, it's 10 o'clock, guys. That time went fast, and I appreciate you guys for being here. Prayerfully, you got something out of this time spent with us. Let's see. Sean says, "Glad I took my time and did not speed into a wreck." That happens 2 minutes earlier, right? Yeah. And causes the traffic that happens in Atlanta all the time. Like all the time. I think that's where most of our traffic is coming from. Accidents. Speaking of which, take your time driving here in Georgia. Please listen, Pastor. You just validated that because I was like, man, it seems like the worst here in Atlanta. Like I'm from New York. If y'all don't know, and when traffic's gonna be like. Traffic is between, there's the rush hour home, there's the rush hour 2. In between that, it's just, it's good. We good money.
Unless you're in Manhattan.
Manhattan pretty much is
24 hours.
It's pretty much
24 hours.
Don't be in a rush. Google will tell you.
All up on the sidewalks in Manhattan, man. It's crazy in Manhattan.
It is. Hopefully COVID has maybe lessened it a little bit, but I doubt it. It's probably just back to normal now. It's back to normal. He said, we're thinking it's Wednesday when it's Friday. Where did that go? Right. That's the worst. So I appreciate you guys for rocking with us and hanging with us. Again, as you can see, scrolling at the bottom, join our community. Text LWN to 84576. Text LWN to 84576. Yes, Richard, you are correct. Yellow cabs are kamikaze drivers. They don't care. They hit you and keep going. And if you're feeling led to give, we are building up the Brothers of Legacy. Give it to our cash out, $BOL 2019, $BOL 2019. Seed in the direction that you want to go. Seed and help us and impact more lives. Like I said, we are building up our accountability call. We have other initiatives that we got going on. Speaking of which, getting into schools and things of that nature. And we need your assistance, your financial support, as well as we need some hands in here. So if you're in the Georgia area, especially, get your guys together. If you know gentlemen from Georgia, have them connect with us. Hit us up on our inbox or email us at brothersoflegacy@gmail.com. All right. So we're about to get out of here. We appreciate you guys. Thank you for always supporting, sharing, getting us to our first goal. Our goal, we're trying to get to 1,000 by the end of this month. Yes, it's big, it's huge, but we can do it. Together, we can achieve more. All right, so we look forward to seeing you guys tomorrow. Same time, same channel. Should be Mental Health Wednesday. So bring everybody in so we can talk about some deeper things, dealing with time, procrastination, and what you're doing with your life. All right. As always, if all hearts and minds are clear. So we look forward to seeing you guys tomorrow. Stay safe. 988 mental health crisis. If you're having one, or you know someone that's having that same situation going on, 988. All right. That's it. That's all. We'll see you in AM. Know that we love you. Jesus loves you better. Peace out.